There is an unspoken truth, a quiet shadow lurking behind the radiant glow of the world's most breathtaking women, and it's something that almost no one has the courage to tell you. We look at them and see power. We see grace. We see a life paved with gold and effortless success. But if you look closer, if you look past the surface and into the mechanics of the soul, you'll find a startling paradox. The more blindingly beautiful a woman is, the more unstable her sense of self often becomes. And please, listen carefully, because this isn't because she is weak. It isn't because she lacks intelligence or character. It is because her brain was trained in a reality that is fundamentally different from yours and mine. It is because her nervous system was forged in a crucible of constant, unrelenting observation. Imagine for a moment growing up in a world where your every move is met with a nod of approval, where your mistakes are erased before they even hit the ground, and where doors open for you not because of what you've done, but simply because of how you look. When a woman grows up being constantly noticed, constantly desired, and constantly validated by the external world, her nervous system doesn't just enjoy it, it adapts to it. To her, attention isn't a special occasion. It is the baseline of existence. It is the very air she breathes. From the time she is a young girl, the world treats her with a distinct set of rules. People forgive her faster. They offer help more readily. They tolerate moods and behaviors they would never accept from anyone else. And in this gentle, forgiving environment, her brain learns a lesson that is as seductive as it is dangerous. It learns that her value is a currency printed by others. It learns that who she is internally matters far less than how others react to her externally. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it an externalized identity. It is the process of building a house where the foundation isn't buried in the earth, but rather floats on the shifting opinions of a crowd. Her sense of self, her very I am, becomes inextricably tied to the act of being chosen, the act of being wanted, and the act of being the center of the room. And here is where the biology of it becomes truly terrifying. Attention is a drug. It isn't just a metaphor. It is a literal neurochemical event. Every time someone looks at her with longing, every time a stranger pauses to admire her, her brain releases a surge of dopamine. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of reward, the chemical that tells the brain this is important for survival. Over years of this, her brain becomes a high-performance engine that only runs on high-octane validation. It becomes her physiological normal. So, what happens when the attention inevitably drops, because it always does? Time is a thief, and the spotlight is a fickle thing. When the world grows quiet, her nervous system doesn't interpret that silence as peace. It interprets it as a loss of self. It interprets it as a threat to her survival. This is the hidden root of that emotional instability people so often whisper about. She begins to overthink the smallest changes in a partner's tone. She feels a cold, gnawing insecurity without any clear reason. She seeks constant reassurance, not because she is needy, in the traditional sense, but because her brain has been trained to rely on external signals just to feel safe, just to feel like she still exists in the way she's always known. And then, there is the digital storm. Social media didn't just change the game, it made the addiction infinite. Now, the validation never has to stop. It is constant, instant, and unlimited. She can post a single photo and watch as hundreds, thousands of people validate her existence with a tap of a finger. Pause. Her brain adapts to that staggering level of stimulation, and suddenly, a normal reality simply cannot compete. A normal relationship feels quiet, almost deafeningly so. A stable, healthy life feels flat and uninspired. Normal stability starts to feel like an absence of love, simply because it doesn't provide the dopamine spikes her nervous system was trained to expect. It's like trying to listen to a whisper after standing next to a jet engine for 20 years. This is exactly where most men make a catastrophic mistake. They look at a woman of extreme beauty, and they assume that her outward perfection reflects an inward strength. They see the symmetry of her face and assume the symmetry of her soul. But beauty is a genetic lottery. It is not a certificate of emotional resilience. It is not a measure of character. In fact, some of the most beautiful people you will ever meet are also the most psychologically fragile, because their entire identity was built on reactions, not on a foundation, and reactions, by their very nature, are temporary. They are as fleeting as a passing glance. The real test of a human being is who they are when the validation stops, Who are they when nobody is watching? Who are they when they are not being chosen, not being admired, and not being put on a pedestal? Because that version of them, the one that exists in the quiet, the one that exists without the fuel of attention, that is the only version that will last in the long term. Everything else is just smoke and mirrors. This is the moment where your perception must shift. You have to stop being hypnotized by the appearance and start looking at the architecture of the spirit. You have to stop confusing beauty with strength. You have to stop making choices based on the impulse of attraction and start making them based on the reality of stability. Attraction is biological. It is a chemical reaction that happens in a heartbeat. But compatibility is psychological. It is the slow, steady work of two stable nervous systems finding a rhythm together. The man who truly understands this is the man who stops chasing the high intensity of the perfect image. He stops being a moth, drawn to the brightest flame, and starts looking for the light that can actually warm a home. He recognizes that the most beautiful thing a person can possess is not a flawless face, but a sense of self that doesn't shatter when the world looks away. He seeks the woman who knows who she is in the dark, the woman who has built a life on values that time cannot touch. Because when you stop choosing based on the reaction of the crowd and start choosing based on the reality of the heart, you don't just find a partner, you find peace. You find a love that isn't a performance, but a refuge. And in that refuge, you find the only beauty that truly matters, the kind that grows deeper and stronger and more real every single day.